What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dog Pound Discussions. I am Derek, and unfortunately, tradition has come to a temporary end. I had nothing for this week. I have been just a tad sick the past couple of days because went to a wedding. We want to give a shout out. Wesley and Avery got married. Toey got me sick. But of course, to come out of the wedding, it was a lot of great moments, a lot of great pictures. Tony, of course, was able to be there. It was awesome to see you, Tony. So, as you can tell, Tony was dressed for the event. So yeah, it was great to see you, Tony. You fit you fit in very well, and these group pictures will live on for forever. So just want to say shout out to Avery and Wesley from us here at the Dog Pound Discussions. Thank you for having us. It was a great night, great event. Wish I didn't get sick, but we're fighting through. Tony,
fuck you.
Did you enjoy the wedding?
No, great wedding. Obviously happy to be there. I didn't get the memo on the dress code, apparently.
I just found it impressive you changed clothes that fast.
In all seriousness, very happy for the new couple. Sad I couldn't actually make it. I had to get photoshopped into the pictures, but life is weird that way. Shit happens, whatever. But so a special announcement to kick off the show this week. We're officially on Spotify finally. So all you people that bitched at me about, I don't want to watch a podcast on YouTube. What if I want to listen to it? Go check out our Spotify. Chunk.
Mm-hmm.
You little 4'2" leprechaun midget.
It's us and Joe Rogan, right? That's the new leaders on Spotify and podcasting.
We are basically the new Joe Rogan. We should go on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be a heck of a conversation.
Check us out on Spotify. The entire backlog is on there, and we'll post a link in the description, I imagine.
Yeah.
That's not really our job. It's Jacob's job. Oh, and congratulations to him, too, as well.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Jacob had a big weekend. So, yeah, we are now on Spotify. And, speaking of moving to other platforms, some news here. Netflix is reportedly going to carry the 2 Christmas Day NFL games exclusively on Netflix, at least one game on Christmas the following 2 years. Tony, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
So people are cutting cable, and now just to watch every NFL game, you're paying like 6-7 times the amount. If you get Sunday Ticket and all that other fun stuff. If not, you're still paying for streaming services. Streaming services. I think it's gonna be weird. I don't want to be like Netflix and chilling, and then I gotta like look up real quick because, Jared Goff just threw a strike to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I'm trying to pay attention, and I got like distractions on I just want to be able to watch football on regular TV. I don't want to have to buy 30 different streaming services. As a soccer fan, this is something I go through already. I have to have Paramount Plus. I have to have Apple TV. I have to have ESPN Plus just to watch games. I mean, it's just so annoying. I'm so tired of, we'll put this game on a streaming service, and then one game turns to 2 turns to 4 turns to 8, and then all of a sudden we're paying $10 a week to watch the Browns.
Yeah. And off topic, I mean, for those of us who are wrestling fans out there, right? WWE is going to have Raw on Netflix, and they're probably going to have SmackDown on Netflix. I think that's different here because that is all of your programming in one spot versus what you're talking about here is if you want to watch the Browns on Thursday night, right? You got to go to Amazon Prime. If the Browns play on Christmas, you got to have Netflix. It's like, it's very frustrating as an NFL fan who wants to see all these games. It's frustrating that you got to look around and try to find the game and or pay for a game that you might not really care that much about. It's very frustrating.
Yep. So, in some lighter, better Cleveland Browns news, the Cleveland Browns have signed 5 of their draft picks Jawan Briggs, Miles Harden, Nathaniel Watson, Jamari Thrash, and Zach Zinter are all officially signed and right ahead of rookie minicamp. Rookie minicamp happened. OTAs are coming up. It's exciting. Football season is on the horizon, and I, for one, cannot wait to be disappointed and drunk by 3 p.m. every Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that the Browns have other guys signed except Mike Hall Jr., that's kind of normal, right? The first pick of the draft usually takes longer. Um, Obviously, he's going to be signed at some point soon.
I hope so.
But yeah, with rookie minicamp, Tony, did you get to see anything? Did you have anything you want to cover with that before I go?
I will say I did not get to see much of rookie minicamp. I don't really put much stock into stuff like that or OTAs I put more stock into actual like preseason games and what they do on the field in a live game situation. I've never been one to put much stock into camps and practice, and that's just my opinion on the subject. I know we probably have differing opinions on that. So, like, what did you see during rookie camp that stood out to you?
I mean, it means nothing. It really doesn't. Last year, DeJuan Jones couldn't make it through a light practice, right? And it turns out that he was one of our best draft picks. So what looks bad right now might not look bad in the future, right? You can go back to Cincinnati when Jamar Chase and rookie minicamp couldn't catch a ball. It's like, yeah, that really matters now, right? So it's hard to project too much on the rookie minicamp side of things. OTAs, I think, are a little bit different just because it's more of a team activity versus just the rookie class. But there were a couple things I wanted to mention. Zach Zinter, the Browns released I believe it was a TikTok. I know it was a YouTube short, and it was the equipment manager or one of them talking to Zinter, and he essentially was like, "Hey, let's get you fitted and ready to go for whenever you are ready to go." And Zinter let it be known that he is completely cleared and he is ready to go for all football activity, which I thought was very fascinating. And we did get to see him on the field, obviously not doing a whole lot, but pushing the sled. When you're coming off of an injury like he had, that's a pretty big deal. Mike Hall looked fast. He looked dominant. He looked good in the Browns uniform. And then Jamari Thrash is the one everybody's talking about for good reason. He looked good. He looked really good. He looked smooth. He looked quick. A lot of the stuff that we've seen from him. But Tony, the number one criticism that I would have and that most everybody had of Jamari Thrash, contested catches, kind of those tougher balls to bring in, pause. There was one in camp where, I mean, he had no business catching that ball. Like, he just had no business catching the ball. Ran a very good route, came back, made a great play. It's stuff like that where you don't want to look too much into it, but with a guy like that who had some concerns in that area, it's good to see. It's good to see that he could potentially be the best version of himself.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him blossom and pause and see how he plays, and I just hope it's not another Anthony Schwartz regen. That's kind of my main concern. I'm excited for the season, though. I got high hopes for all these guys, especially Zinter. I'm so happy he's a Cleveland Brown. I mean, he's a great player. He works hard. He's gritty. He puts his nose to the grindstone. He's going to be, first guy in, last guy out type of player, and he's going to be one of our linemen. I don't even want to say guard because who knows? He may end up playing center if we need him to. One of our interior linemen of the future, and I think he's going to be a great one. I think we got an absolute steal as long as he remains healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. And some non-Cleveland Browns news we throw in here. The Cleveland Browns up north a little bit more, you could argue, the NFC. The Detroit Lions have signed quarterback Jared Goff to an extension, making him the second highest paid quarterback. 4-year contract, $212 million. Tony?
I like it. I can't even use the excuse that it's late. It's 2 p.m. Fuck. But I like it. He's a gamer. Great quarterback. Great to lock him in long term, if you're the Detroit Lions, I think that's a team that's going to have a lot of success in the future, which is weird to say considering they are the other team that went 0-16 in the NFL, much like the Browns. I mean, and like you said, yes, there's a lot of parallels between the two franchises, decades of losing, and now two franchises that are on the rise, led by young, exciting head coaches, got great leadership in place, great roster. A Browns-Lions Super Bowl would break the space-time continuum. Like, I'm pretty sure we'd start building bridges on Lake Erie and everything else.
Yeah, and as rowdy as we are as fans, I don't think that would be. I mean, we would want to win. Don't get me wrong, but
that'd be the nicest Super Bowl of all time because it's like, I'll be happy even if we lose. Like, at least we made it. At least someone else won. At least it wasn't Patrick Mahomes and Taylor Swift. I mean Travis Kelce, but like,
yeah. I mean, Jared Goff. This situation is kind of interesting, right? Because when he was traded, it was okay. How long is he going to be there? He's the bridge quarterback, and now he's their guy, and he's played at a high level. He hasn't played at a level to be paid this much, but in that system, he has worked well. The city of Detroit loves him, right? He's kind of the leader of that team. And the only thing I want to add in here with this is I love Hendon Hooker. I loved that pick. I loved him going to Detroit. I think he's a good quarterback. He is on the older side. I anticipated him taking over the starting job at some point. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Kind of seems like this is Jared Goff's team. So
they might work Hooker into some packages, I feel like, because he's definitely a valuable asset, and I feel like you got to try and get him on the field a little bit. Especially, like, let's say it's like a late game Hail Mary situation. I mean, he's got a cannon. Let him go back there and rip that fucking ball like 70 yards downfield if you need to.
Yeah, I just hope he gets a shot. I hope he gets a shot on some team. Let's just say hypothetically, and this is not because we're a Browns podcast, but like, what if Tampa Bay needs a quarterback or somebody like that, right? Where you can trade him, wouldn't cost a whole lot, but he would get a chance to get some playing time.
Kind of like what we thought the DTR situation would be. Moving on, I believe Jacob will be intervening here, unless I'm wrong, because it's our Twitter segment.
Nah, I wasn't going to turn on this one, but if you guys want to go over which of the, schedule release reveal things from teams that you want to talk about and watch and react to.
I say like we watch all 32. We'll really eat up some time.
Let's at least do a couple. Some in division if they have them. Chargers.
You got the Chargers one? Definitely got to talk about the Chargers one.
I'll pull up the Chargers one.
All right. Oh, he's got it already. Look at that.
Yeah, the film schedule release. It was beautiful.
Notice how they're all the old uniforms.
Yeah. This is what the funniest parts for me. Cam Newton boxing. George Pitt. Taylor Swift, the private jet. It's supposed to be Justin.
Nice.
Her cousin.
Wild.
There's so many good Easter eggs in there.
As always, the Chargers social media team kills it. Harrison Butker in the kitchen is fucking hilarious. The Taylor Swift private jet, the Hardballs fighting. I think, honestly, the lamest one on their entire schedule release is the one where they play the Browns.
You think?
It was just a bunch of elves in a factory.
I don't know. I kind of thought that was funny because all the boxes were every quarterback that we've had.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, all right,
funny,
bro.
But, like, compared to the rest of them, you know, the Chiefs superfan one in the courtroom was funny.
Yeah. Chiefsaholic.
Yeah, Chiefs. I couldn't think of his name.
Dude,
Chiefsaholic.
that story is insane. Like, just side note for a second. Have you ever heard like that full story?
No, I have not.
Like, he was robbing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jacob, if you know more. But
He was robbing a bank in the mask. That's the one part I did.
Yeah, I want to say he was robbing banks to go to games, and then he got caught.
And I know Travis and Jason invited him on the podcast.
Did they?
I believe they did. Yeah.
Jeez. Well, Chiefsaholic, you're always welcome here.
Yeah. Yeah. Dog. I know you're a wolf, technically, but dog pound discussions. You know.
Oh god.
Can we see the Browns one? Like, let's
pull up the best one in the league.
I just want to put this. Actually, my first time seeing it. So, like,
oh, really?
Natural reaction.
I'm curious to know if you'll know who all these players are just by their face.
I assume, like, that's a dig at Zeke.
No, that's Mo Hurst.
Well, I know it's Mo Hurst, but, like, remember this circulated a few years ago?
Do you know who that is?
I didn't give a look.
That's McLeod. That's Tino.
Punk.
Segura, stop sitting around. Clean up. Lane 10. Now. Get a move on, sunshine.
It's Michael Coase.
What's up, Grant?
Game time.
That's right, I did it! Who do you think you are? I am!
All right.
Hmm.
There you have it. What was your
What are-
thoughts? First reaction?
Definitely a little goofy as fuck, but pretty cool. Not the best one, but
I thought it was good for like what they had to work with. It was it was cool for them, for those of you who are real Browns fans and are dedicated and listen and watch CBD Cleveland Browns daily. It was cool to have some tidbits there of Zagura and yeah.
Nathan Segura is funny as fuck. I will give it.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Couple tidbits in there. I wonder if that was filmed the same time Chunk met Harrison Bryant and David Njoku. Probably not. But anyway, the schedule has been released. Tony,
Yeah,
we know our schedule.
Finally, I mean, grueling. It's the last 6 weeks of the season is a dog fight.
It is. So, do you want me to just run down the schedule real fast, then we can talk about it?
If you want to, go for it.
All right. So, week 1, the Browns open at home against the Cowboys. Week 2, the Browns go on the road to Jacksonville, come back home, play the New York Giants, go on the road then to play the Raiders. Then you got Washington. Is that at Washington?
Yeah.
Yes, that's at Washington.
The orange is on the road. The
Yep.
brown, black, whatever's at home.
Yep. So then it's at Philadelphia. Then it's Bengals at home, Ravens at home, Chargers at home. Bye week, week 10 this time, not week 4,
Thank
week
God.
5. And then away at New Orleans, home against the Steelers, Thursday night football, away against the Denver Broncos on Monday night football. And then it's away against the Steelers, home against the Chiefs, away against the Cincinnati Bengals. That's Thursday night football. And then, Tony, the return of the Cleveland Browns, Sunday night football against the Miami Dolphins in Cleveland. That's going to be a fun one. And then wrapping it up, could be a huge, huge game against the Baltimore Ravens week 18.
I'm half tempted to say let's get tickets to that Sunday night game, but it's end of December. It's going to be cold.
Yeah,
Let's-
and it's going to cost a fortune.
One thing I will say is good. We have a lot of home games in the early part of the season when it's not blistering cold or blistering hot.
Yeah.
Like I said, last 6 weeks of the season from like week 13 to week 18, absolute grind at Denver, at Pittsburgh, KC, at Cincy, Miami, and then at Baltimore. Insane. I'm glad we catch Dallas and Jacksonville at the beginning of the season. I see no reason why we could not start 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
I think Philly waxes us regardless. Like I don't care. I'll put it this way: I could easily see us at like, let's see, 5, 8, 8-1, 8-1 going into the bye week. I feel like it's a real possibility.
Yeah, I mean it could be. For those of you who are not aware, the Browns will have the toughest strength of schedule at a .547. The Browns will face 12 teams that finished last season with a winning record. And Tony, the Cleveland Browns have not made back-to-back playoffs since 1989. Looking at this schedule, it's hard, it's tough, but there's teams that always rise. There's teams that always fall. This might look like the toughest schedule, but it could end up being easier than we think. So do you think we can go back to back for the first time in a while?
It's late May. a lot could happen between now and the opening game of the season on September 5th. All it takes is one blade of grass that's too high, and some quarterback that's supposed to play the Browns rips his ACL to shreds in practice. Like, there's too much to speculate on this far from being in the season. But yes, if Deshaun Watson plays like the $240 million quarterback that he's supposed to be, we will make back-to-back playoff appearances. If Deshaun Watson comes out and plays like the Deshaun Watson that we've seen over the last, 2 years now, right? It's 2 years with Watson, this is year 3?
This is year 3, yep.
Yeah. If he plays like the QB we've seen over the last 2 years, then we're in for a long season. We're going to get beat left and right by teams that are better than us. Watson's got to play up to potential. And, in general, the NFL schedule this year, this might be one of the best opening weeks we've seen in a while. I mean, Ravens Chiefs to kick it off on Thursday night. That's crazy. Like, I love that game. I mean, Packers Eagles on Friday night, correct? They're going to open a Friday night game in Brazil. Kind of glad we didn't get that game, even though we all speculated we were going to get that game. I don't trust Deshaun Watson in foreign countries. Texans Colts on a Sunday should be a good game. Jags Dolphins, some other good ones. Broncos Seahawks could have potential. Cowboys Browns, obviously. Like, I'm okay with opening the season with Dallas, and then you got Rams and Lions in Detroit. Matthew Stafford comes back to Detroit again. Yeah, I mean, even Jets Niners on Monday night could be a good one. Like, I think there's a lot to look forward to this season. I can't wait. I'm excited for football. I'm excited for college football and all the changes that'll bring.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I can't wait for the NFL. I can't wait for the Browns season to start. I don't know. All I gotta say is, Derek, get ready to go to some games, because I will be texting you on Wednesday, hey, you're driving. We're getting tickets in the Dawg pound. Let's go. And you better not tell me no, because we're about to have a fun season.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. But kind of first things first, we'll get into some more thoughts here in a second because you have an ad read to do. But starting off, Cowboys Browns to start the year. Tony, this is Tom Brady. Tom Brady's first game as a color commentator covering the NFL. This is going to be a game that not just for us as Browns fans or even for Cowboys fans, but for the NFL as a whole. The first game of Tom Brady's commentating career, this one's going to be looked back on for a long, long time. And it's America's Game of the Week on Fox, 425 kick. It's going to be a big one. It is going to be a huge, huge game to start the year. For me, it's one of my top 5 toughest matchups, for sure.
Oh, yeah. That final stretch is grueling, but we'll just have to see how the Browns fit in. Speaking of fit.
Good transition.
Find your fit at TwoOneFits. TwoOneFits.com. Get your Browns merch for the upcoming season. The guards are cooking right now. Get some Guardians merch. Get some Cavs merch. Get some Lake Erie stuff. Get some City of Cleveland stuff. Get your DF Sports merch. Find your fit. TwoOneFits.com. Yeah. Find your fit at TwoOneFits. There
we go. All right, so let's kind of take a deeper look into this schedule. So, which of the primetime games, Tony? Because the Browns have 4 primetime games. You have Thursday night football against the Steelers, and then turn around the very next week, Monday night football against the Broncos, and then go down to week 16, Thursday night football against the Bengals in Cincinnati, and then the very next week, home primetime Sunday night football against the Miami Dolphins. Which of those games are you? What do those stick out? Like, which one of those are you just blown away by?
For me, it has to be the Dolphins game, because I feel like that game is going to be a potential playoff decider at home. on a Sunday night. That's got to be the game. I mean, that's going to be an incredible matchup. I really do think that's going to be the game that potentially locks up a playoff spot or eliminates us from playoff contention. Those final 6 weeks of the season is going to be what decides if we're a playoff team or not. We have to get off to a good start. It's that simple. We have to get off to a good start in the first half of the season. We have to be going into the bye week with no less than, I'll venture to say, 3 losses. No less than 3 losses, and we will make the playoffs if we head into week 10 at 6-3. That's my bold prediction for the season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that game against the Dolphins, assuming everybody's healthy, that's going to be a tough matchup. Kind of the Dolphins' speed against the Browns' physicality up front on that defensive line. You know, what is that going to look like, that game of chess? The other one for me, that Thursday night game, I'm planning on being there, November 21st at home in Cleveland against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Anytime these two teams match up, it's a war. It's an absolute war. But Thursday night football in Cleveland, the Browns need to make a statement. The last time we played the Steelers in prime time, Chubb got hurt. It was ugly. It was not a good game. It was one of the worst games, I think, that I can remember, you know, in my lifetime of being a Browns fan.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah.
The energy just went out of everybody once Chubb got hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, it's those two. But just in general, when you look at the schedule, obviously there's some easier games, there's some tougher games, but which of these outside of the ones we already covered are you looking forward to the most?
Has to be Dallas. I mean, that's the tone setter. It's a huge tone setting game. And I guess the Eagles game, because that's a measuring stick game. But yeah, Dallas and Philly. So both NFC East teams. Going to Philly is going to be tough. But yeah, Dallas is that tone setting game. That's going to be the most important game of the season. And I would argue that is a primetime game in its own. 4:25 against Dallas on Fox. That's kind of their sweet spot. That's they're America's team, or so they want to think. That's the tone setter this season. I'm sure you agree with me. I mean,
yeah, no, I completely agree. And again, to your point, kind of how you start the year, the NFL, even though it is a tough schedule, the NFL did us a huge favor because regardless of what happens against Dallas, you have Jacksonville, New York, Raiders, Washington. Those are games you should win. And the NFL, I think, is giving us an opportunity to get the ball rolling, get in rhythm, establish the new offense, and just kind of keep things rolling from last year into this year defensively. So that's got to carry over. That absolutely has to carry over. But as far as games that stick out, Tony, there are 3 games on this schedule that I would like to see as wins, not just for the benefit of us, but, you know, when it comes to the past and some stuff that's happened, the Saints came into Cleveland, had no business beating us. It was freezing. That was embarrassing that we lost that game. I want to go to New Orleans and beat the Saints. Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos. Last year, all the injuries, I felt not that they were a bad team, but they kind of played us a little dirty, and I want to go into Denver and smack the shit out of them, personally. So there's those two. Not that they're great teams, but just for me personally, I want to win those. And then Kansas City, right? We know what happened in the playoffs a couple years ago. We know what happened with Rashard Higgins getting the helmet-to-helmet not called, ball falls out of the back of the end zone, all those sorts of things, all that storyline. And we know about the Chiefs. It's a little bit different this year because they've added at their weak spots, but man, I want to make a statement. I want to make a statement in December. You're getting close to the end of the year. At that point, you would have 3 games remaining after that game. If the Browns can go out there in Cleveland and beat the Chiefs, that would be a huge, huge statement and a confidence booster heading into Cincinnati, Miami, Baltimore. Because if you go out and you beat the Super Bowl champions, the team that everybody thinks is unstoppable, regardless of how talented or not they are. That would be huge. And it would be huge in the playoff standings. It would be huge within the division because, for all of our division teams that play the AFC West, beating the Chiefs and knocking them off would just be monumental. It'd be a monumental win.
I agree completely. Definitely some must-win games there.
Yeah. So floor and ceiling, Tony, it's a way too early prediction here, but
yeah, that it is.
But let's go through. Okay, let's start off best case scenario, right?
Best case scenario? Best case scenario, we go 9-1 before the bye week, and then we finish out the last 8 games of the season. I'd say 4-4, so 13 and what? So 9-1, and then the last
4.
Yeah, 13-4.
Yeah. I
said last 8. I meant last 7, obviously,
yeah.
but
I think my guess would be that the Browns' best case scenario ranges from 11-6 to 13-4, somewhere in there. If you can win some games that are tough. But worst case scenario, let's see. Worst case scenario, you start off losing to Dallas, and then I would say you win against Jacksonville, win against New York, win against the Raiders, win against Washington. I don't know. Maybe it's tough to say that 9-8 would be worst case scenario, but
9-8 doesn't get us in the playoffs, I don't think.
No. And it's important to remember, right? Cincinnati last year, a lot of injuries, dealt with a lot. But they were still winning football games. But they went 1-5 in the division, I want to say, and missed the playoffs. So you can look at the schedule and say, yeah, man, it's tough. The Browns are screwed, whatever. We can come out and win a majority of these games, but you have to handle business within the division. And I think this year in particular, I think you absolutely need to sweep 1 or 2 of these football teams.
Those divisional games are going to be the deciders in the AFC North with just how compact and competitive it's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Pittsburgh, within 2 out of 3 games playing the Steelers, we got to win both of them. Definitely 2 games we got to pick up. Got to get the Ravens win at home. I don't know if we sweep the Ravens. I think we sweep the Bengals. I hope we sweep the Steelers. I think at least you got to win 4 out of your 6 division games, no matter what.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to be an interesting year, to say the least. This is a big boy schedule, right?
Absolutely.
The Browns dealt with all sorts of adversity last year, found ways to win games that we had no business winning. Went 11-6. Everything happened the way it did. Now, assuming everybody can stay healthy, or at least as healthy as possible, the Browns can win every single one of these games. They can be in and win every single one of these games. So we'll see. This is a big test on Deshaun for sure.
Yeah, I agree. So, before we sign off for the day, I'll just go ahead and say honky of the week this week is, we'll call it Tori. For getting you sick, for probably getting a few other people at the wedding sick. Tori, you're the honky of the week this week. Congratulations.
Tony doesn't stick to the script, apparently, because the honky of the week that we decided on was the New York Giants organization for this abomination.
Hold on. It just appeared on my screen, so it was not in the show script, so I got set up there. But yeah, I agree. It is also the New York Giants for that ugly-ass uniform.
Bro, this is...
Co-honky of the week.
Yeah, co-honky of the week. I mean, maybe this is blasphemous as an Ohio State fan, but the helmet I like. That's it. This is terrible. And
God
it's
awful. Anyways,
the
oh,
huh?
what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say it's funny to see the players' reactions. I don't know if you saw that when they showed them these uniforms. It was like, oh, like, oh, okay.
But yeah. Speaking of terrible and god awful, thank you for sitting through this episode where we were. I don't want to say underprepared because we weren't underprepared, but I guess feeling under the weather. Neither of us really felt too great the last couple of days. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. Drop a comment on any of our videos anywhere you see them. We'll have a lovely discussion. Follow College Football Dogs. Check out the website, collegefootballdogs.com, to see the other incredible shows on the Dogs TV network. Read all the great articles written by our absolutely amazing staff of writers. They are constantly pumping out articles, and they're great. But anyways, yeah, tune in next week. Go Browns. The season is like less than 4 months away now. Crazy to believe. It's almost time for some football, and it'll be here before you know it. That'll do it for us this week. Peace.
Bye-bye.